What's happening, YouTube? It's your homie S.DefTF coming back to you with another video. And today's video is all about the top battle cards. And I want to say top battle cards because if you look, I'm wearing the same clothes. I'm doing this video actually immediately after my last video. You can check my last video out on my channel. Subscribe while you're at it. Of my top characters that I'm looking forward to coming out in the Siege 2, Wave 4 meta coming out very soon this week, November 8th. Can't wait. Without further ado, I want to talk about my favorite, again, battle cards, and I don't want to necessarily say top because I left out Raider Sights, my boy Raider Sights. My bad, bro. But yeah, looking forward to a variety of battle cards coming out. I'm definitely just excited to get my hands on all of them, of course, but I definitely just want to isolate a couple that I'm really looking forward to. And we're going to start out with, I'm just going to start out with a bang. I'm going to start out with my #1 favorite card that I'm waiting for from the set. It was this other card, but now it's going to be this card. And we are talking about Sabotage Armaments. Boy, that card is ridiculous. Like, catering to blue like it does, and the fact that it's on color, like being blue, it just seems so weird that they made the card, it's not orange, or it's not a, I mean, I think I still play it either way, even if it had no icon, but maybe not 3, but like I feel like I want to go 3 on like all my blue decks or all my mixed decks to just battle my opponent's threats. And I think one of the big, now we have, of course, have to find out a ruling on if it works versus bold or not, because it says when your character defends. As far as I'm understanding how the game goes, when your opponent technically flips for their attack, and then your character defends, and then you flip for defense. So I feel like when they're attacking and they flip for their attack, the bold is already being triggered. Now cards like Grenade Launcher, cards like Erratic Lightning, the obvious ones, I feel like those will be scrapped or whatever. But like if another card I want to talk about on this list gets scrapped prior to that with Sabotage Armaments, that's gonna make the card even better, and definitely looking forward to that. But of course, you already know who gets the biggest boost from that card. It's your boy. It's your main man. Main man. But yeah, so of course Shockwave definitely gets the biggest boost from that card. There are so many, I want to say so many, but there are a lot more clearly secret actions that came out in this set going to potentially trip your opponent up. You can have something as simple as a Battlefield Report set in some decks, like Starscream, a deck that I'll hopefully try to bring back. You could have something set like Hijack. You could have something set like, out of bolster. Your opponent just won't know exactly what you have set. Now, of course, if a lot of your deck is gone, if your opponent's smart, they'll look through your scrap pile and kind of see what you already have in your scrap pile. But I definitely plan on trying to play Sabotage Armaments in conjunction with other secret actions, even if it's just one, because if they do totally different things, well, clearly they do totally different things, but if they do different things to the point where your opponent's going to have to guess, like, man, if I play this weapon and that is Sabotage Armaments, I'm screwed. But, well, maybe if it's this card, this other, whatever, it won't be as bad, like Hidden Fortification, the next card on my list. So we'll talk about both of those in conjunction. So I could have Hidden Fortification set, and then you're like, well, I want to try to put this Grenade Launcher on and get some type of damage, but then they go ahead and put it on, and then I have Sabotage Armaments, or vice versa. So I just like the plethora of tricks that you can play with secret actions now being so secretive, hence the name, and really get mind games with your opponent. I hope everybody is sincerely prepared for interruption on your opponent's turn, and of course secret action is the best way that we're going to be able to do that right now, and I feel like there's going to be more ways in the future. Definitely can't wait for that. But interruption is something that's definitely, I mean, you see what the major Shockwave deck is doing. Interrupting your opponent is going to be a very big deal, and in terms of not letting them get too crazy with their turns. So I'll just keep it at that, but Sabotage Armaments is very savage, and being able to scrap your opponent's weapons will help your blue decks live a lot longer, which makes me think that orange-black decks or blue-black decks are really going to need to take force, so that way if you do get Sabotage Armament, at least you'll be able to get some damage in through your Pierce or whatever. So we'll definitely see. It does make cards like Dual Wield a little weaker, but at the same time, most of the time you may not actually play Dual Wield to get 2 weapons on your character, and you probably shouldn't do that if your opponent has a set back row or Shades of Yu-Gi-Oh, my bad, has a set, and you probably shouldn't do that probably anyway if your opponent has a set secret action, just like you see a Sabotage Armaments in a scrap pile, and you're like, oh, okay, I won't play this Dual Wield to get double RR Disruptive Blade on my character this turn or whatever. So it'll take definitely a lot of testing, and it's going to be a lot of trickery and a lot of salty players when they get armaments or when they get any of these other secret actions. Definitely looking forward to the interruption. Next up, we have another secret action that I want to talk about, and that's actually Hijack. Now, I like that fact that Hijack has a green icon, but the problem with that is if they see you get it off of your flips, they just won't play a draw card or whatever on the next turn. But then that's where it comes in with the fact that if you play multiple secret actions, well, they might think you have set the best part about that is you get Hijack off of your flips, you set a secret action, they don't flip Springer on the next turn because they're like, well, I'm not gonna flip to make me scrap a card, make you draw, and have you draw 2 cards because that's a crazy minus. But then, lo and behold, you actually had Sabotage Armaments set, or you actually had hidden Fortification set, or something like that. So, yeah, that seems very good. And the decks that do draw a lot, it'll just keep them in check, and it'll just keep them from not getting too crazy. Even if you don't necessarily get a whole bunch of draws off of that, the fact of the matter is not letting them go too ballistic with all this drawing and things like that is, I think, going to be the biggest plus to this card. So definitely looking forward to Hijack. Of course, clip jumper decks get weaker with that, but it's not going to be, honestly, it's not going to be that big of a deal. If I flip B for turn and you chain Hijack then to draw a card, well, when I attack with B, it's going to suck, but I probably clearly just won't use the effect to discard an action and draw 2 cards. So there are ways to play around it, and it won't be that devastating, but it just keeps cards and decks in check. And next up, actually, I'm going to go back to Hidden Fortification. Hidden Fortification is actually insane. I think, along with Sabotage Armaments, I really think 3Y Prime comes back off of this card, and I have another video that I want to talk about decks that I think are going to come back, decks that I think are going to be a thing. Even if I don't necessarily talk about 3 or so teams or whatever, I want to talk about the decks entity as a whole, like Bugs. I think Bugs come back too, or not come back, because I know people will say, "Oh, Bugs never left." You know what I mean. So, but yeah, Bugs definitely get a rise out of this set with a couple of cards, and but yeah, I really think Hidden Fortification is going to be a great. First card that made me think of when I saw that card was Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, and that's just great for him because he can just get it back. He can attack in that mode where he's still pretty strong, especially if he has a Ion Blast from Optimus Prime. He's still at 8-4 in that mode, 8-4, and then you set that card and now he has tough 3. If you have Flame Roar on the field, now he has tough 4. Now, of course, that deck's going to be weak against decks that have Pierce. If blue-black heavy or orange-black heavy decks become a thing, of course, straight blue decks actually won't be that good. Actually, as much as I see people in the community talking about, oh, blue decks are back, and I, for one, was also myself saying that. Well, the more and more I keep seeing these blue-black cards, or these orange and blue / black cards, if people make entire decks based off of that, because if the format is going to go super blue, well, then it's like you have to combat that by at least being able to get some type of damage in when your characters attack. So if your deck is heavy orange black or heavy blue black, even if you have a sparring gear or whatever on your character or hidden fortification and you have tough 50, it's not going to matter if I'm still getting in for Pierce 4, Pierce 5, Pierce 6, and I get some solid damage in on your character, which means ultimately getting your character close to being KO'd. So with that, yeah, hidden fortification either way is still going to be great against decks that aren't playing heavy orange or heavy orange black or anything like that. And yeah, just the tough just keep stacking, and I'm definitely very excited for that card. Excited for like Nemesis Prime to come back, that Nemesis Flame War and Aimless deck for that deck to come back full swing, because that's a card that helps them mill out. So Hidden Fortification is definitely another secret action I'm looking forward to, or card in general. Another secret action is it seems like this is just what should this be called top 10 secret action video? But I think Stable Cover. Stable Cover is another card I think is going to be very good to counter those decks that are playing heavy orange heavy black or anything like that. Now, it's going to be very specific, like take cover to be able to set it at the correct time. But I feel like if Optimus is about to attack, if you have Stable Cover in your hand, I'd probably set that Stable Cover against a heavy blue deck where their big characters about to come in for some Pierce. Like against Big Omega Supreme, he has 7 Pierce 4, and then he plays heavy-handed, and now he's 9 Pierce 6. And coming down on Optimus, and it's like, well, you could block some decent damage, and then you only take that difference instead of taking an entire whole bunch of Pierce. So it'll be specific on when to set that card, but I think that card will definitely help blue decks that are facing against these other decks that are heavy on Pierce. So to a lesser extent, I do like that card, but I definitely plan on potentially fitting that in my side deck. Next up, for a weapon, we have Sturdy Javelin. Sturdy Javelin is one of the later cards that were revealed, I want to say either last week or 2 weeks prior. When it's on a melee character, it gets +2 attack. When it's on a ranged character, you can throw it at the character and or any character actually, and deal 2 damage to that character, no matter whether they're in bot mode or alt mode. Of course, like Scott Landis said, from Vector Sigma, shout out to them, and Vin over on Tech Talk, they mentioned as well that Sturdy Javelin pretty much adds to the direct damage package, the range package. So sometimes I don't really think I would probably care about the melee side, but like potential turns with Optimus, I might equip it on Optimus and attack with him in his alt mode, because he's stronger for defense in that mode, but he gets the +2 attack from Sturdy Javelin, and he can attack with it with the 8 attack. And on the next turn, I can flip him, and I can potentially attack with him and throw it at somebody, kill another character, etc., etc. So definitely looking forward to Sturdy Javelin. Adds to the direct damage. There's not too much that people can do. I feel like maybe potentially cards like Motor Master. Like Motor Master actually might be really good now that I think about it. Damn, Motor Master. I hope people don't start outside. I don't even know if it'll be that big of a deal, but cards like Sturdy Javelin or Arm Hovercraft and all those things, when they all have to go on Motor Master, that gives your opponent enough time to be able to set up and try to, you know, counter you back or whatever. So be looking out for Motor Master. We'll see. But definitely looking forward to Sturdy Javelin, and I'm excited for that card. One of the big ones I'm really looking forward to is a four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive is one that just seems insane. I just want to four-wheel drive a tote. That's all I want to do. I just want to four-wheel drive a tote, and I'll be happy. Pretty much it's just a blue reckless charge, so you know, putting that on fire on tote will put him up to 7 attack, of course, and so it's +5 and no drawback on it, and that just seems ridiculous. So every time you draw one of those, it just like ultra boost your little trucks. And you know, the off-road patrol deck, by the way, off-road patrol is probably my favorite of all the patrols that I want to play. I like its aggressiveness. I also like the plain one too, the one with the tailwind where he flips a green and you get +2/+1. That seems really good too, but I'm definitely looking forward to the off-road patrol and what they have to offer, and excited for four-wheel drive. That card seems very powerful, and with these a whole bunch of little guys in an orange-black shell, because it'll definitely be a heavy orange-black deck, you know. I don't know. I say it might be heavy orange black, and this is blue, so that kind of throws off the math. But I mean, we'll see. I want to play those cards, like, you know, the package with RR Disruptive Blade and all that, with those little guys, because of course against other blue decks they won't be getting in for much damage. So I think you're gonna have to convert to orange black in order to get some damage in. But for those burst turns, I'll call using four-wheel drive a burst turn card. You know, use that +7, have that plus grenade launcher. You're definitely wrecking some bots with that. Another card I'm looking forward to is Heroic Resolve. Heroic Resolve seems very cool, and it's a card I forgot to mention and talk about in my Omega Supreme profile, and that's actually the biggest thing to talk about when it comes to Omega Supreme. I totally overlooked that and forgot. I'm not used to being able to just play 3 star cards for free, and like that's with your team, like your initial team that you have. Like, you're not doing it, you're not cutting 3 stars on purpose to play 3 star cards. You're playing these because your characters come out to 22 and you're able to play these 3 cards. So Heroic Resolve seems like an auto include in that deck, and having your base live longer. So your base takes 1 or 2 hits, they've milled 2 to 4 cards or 2 to 6 cards already off of it because you have a bravery card on it, and then you bravery or point position or whatever, and then you've had Heroic Resolve in your hand the entire time. Then on the next turn, you attack with him again, and then you set while you set Heroic Resolve. And then when they attack the base, it doesn't die. They still have to take 2 or whatever, and then it's still there. It just seems really good. So I like that card a lot. I like it as a, you know, one of when my Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend decks need a star card. It's a double blue. It's great to potentially grab for him, and he's at 14, and I can flip him to alt mode, grab this back from the scrap pile, and attack with it. Or even it'll be even better, obviously, if I already have it in my hand. I could just set it, and I can attack blindless. Now I can attack recklessly with Optimus in his bot mode, potentially trigger his effect, do some cool stuff, and then when your opponent goes super hard to attack and kill it, you play Heroic Resolve to pretty much revive it and keep it at 1 and get another swing to try to get the KO. So Heroic Resolve is definitely another strong one I'm looking forward to. Another big card I'm looking forward to, and this is probably one of my most anticipated cards because it helps a deck I've been playing a lot lately. Oh yeah. Definitely Terrifying Resilience. Terrifying Resilience seems terrifying for blue decks in general, pun intended. But that card is just ridiculous, simply because it's a Decepticon card that you can play off the top of the deck. So now you have another upgrade in conjunction with LV Gamma Launcher and Scoundrel's Blaster, which I probably won't be playing anymore. But maybe. Scoundrel's Blaster to play off the top of your deck. You have another card to target with Reclaim. So once you already have 2 LV Gamma Launchers on your field, if they haven't been Sabotage Armaments at that point, you can go grab that card, and it's just an easy card to have. You know, I finally don't have to play Sparring Gear anymore. I'm able to just use that card off the top of my deck. That's an easily 3 include, or maybe 2 to 3 include of in my Shockwave deck. You know, along with Sabotage Armaments and stuff, you know, Shockwave just gets better. I do think that some of the bots that are coming out, like Springer and like Jetfire, kind of auto counter Shockwave in terms of Shockwave stealing a card out of your hand. But trust me, the deck doesn't really necessarily, that's not its main point. To like, the biggest part of Shockwave that makes him so good is being able to play those cards off the top of your deck, not taking cards out of your opponent's hand. Taking cards out of your opponent's hand was secondary. And then in conjunction with that, by the way, I want to segue talking about Shockwave for a second. You get your opponent that's playing Springer, you get your opponent that's playing any other type of draw cards or whatever to counter my counter my Shockwave. Spoiler alert, I'm playing Shockwave at PAX. It's a wrap. To counter Shockwave, you know, I feel like Shockwave will auto include Hijack and its side deck. So you play Hijack, and then like when your opponent tries to counter you by drawing some cards to counter Shockwave, then they just lose even more cards, or I gain the cards now because, you know, I hijacked you. And it's just gonna be a lot of trickery going down with that. But yeah, just in general, being able to get Shockwave set up, like, you know, having 2 Gamma launchers on them and Terrifying Resilience and then a energy pack or whatever, just makes the deck a lot stronger than it already was. Again, with hidden Fortification, again Hijack, and Backfire's another card. And the main one, Sabotage Armaments. It seems like Shockwave, like being able to play these cards for free off the top of your deck. I feel like, without even counting, I feel like over half of my deck would be secret actions, which means you'll be able to play cards on top of your deck a lot more often with Shockwave. So definitely looking forward to Terrifying Resilience. It's an orange-black, so you get that 1 damage in with your smaller characters, especially if they're not doing anything else. Definitely looking forward to Terrifying Resilience. It's going to be a great addition to the Shockwave, along with other decks as well too. But Shockwave is going to use it the best. Another quick card I want to talk about is in conjunction with a character I didn't have on my list, but it's a card I'm actually still looking forward to with Lord Megatron, is Composite Armor. Composite Armor is our first armor that actually gives, I like it. Its biggest reason why I like it is because it's simply just our first armor that also gives attack. We've had other cards that work in conjunction with attack and defense, like, well, other card rather, Erratic Lightning, which gives +3 attack and -1 defense. But now we have this card that gives +3 defense and +1 attack. So you're at least getting, you're boasting a lot with this. You know, the deck that I see a lot of people talking about playing is kind of one of the more obvious ones, but that's not really a big deal in terms of, you know, if the cards are good, the cards are good. Lord Megatron, Devastator, and Captain Impactor, orange-black deck with those, with some, like, with mixed with, you know, marksmanships and hovercraft and all that, off the top of my head, it sounds really good. And getting Megatron's effect off at least once per game, I don't think you expect to want to get it more than once per game. If you get it a second time per game, you should definitely win that game, I'm gonna say, unless you're playing against like a, you know, Constructicons or whatever. The Megatron's effect is weaker versus decks like that, but I just really think that Composite Armor is great. Being able to, if they flip a, you know, if you flip a black on defense, you deal 1 damage to a character. That can matter in terms of KO and a character that you left at 1. There's so many different avenues to take with it. You can get it back with Hunker Down. Definitely looking forward to Composite Armor. +3 defense is no joke, and then that +1 attack is just icing on the cake. Definitely looking forward to that card. And another card I'm looking forward to is Overwhelming Advantage. Now, of course, when I first saw Overwhelming Advantage, I'm like, this is the auto include also in Shockwave. Oh yeah. Because Shockwave can get Terrifying Resilience off the top, that's your orange-black. It can get its Gamma Launcher, that's your blue. And then you can actually add Decepticon Crown, which covers your white-green. And then those are your 5 colors, your Skittles colors for, or rainbow colors. Rainbow, taste the rainbow? Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, you know, your rainbow colors of upgrades on Shockwave. And then I think it'll be pretty easy to set up with like cards like Wedge Formation, another card I'm looking forward to. Put, you know, to stack on top of your deck or whatever to deal that 15 to a character. Now, I feel like Shockwave can use it the best, and I feel like if they're using cards to get rid of my upgrades, that means they're not doing big things to deal damage to my Shockwave. Now, at the same time, it's like, well, if things don't necessarily work out like that, I feel like Overwhelming Advantage could be potentially gimmicky, because I'm definitely going to be prepared to scrap my opponent's upgrades all the time. That's what my main deck and side deck is going to definitely include in terms of dealing with my opponent's upgrades. Because the minute I see my opponent playing those rainbow cards or whatever to try to potentially set up for an Overwhelming Advantage turn, I'm definitely going to start focusing on getting rid of that, because I do not need 15 damage dealt to any of my characters. Now, I say that, this is all in theory. I don't know if it's actually going to work out like that, but we'll find out. But, you know, I'm definitely going to try it out with Shockwave. I see some people talking about with Megatron. Megatron's on the card, so it's like, well, it seems like it would work with Megatron. But it just seems like keeping all the upgrades to stick is going to be gimmicky, between Enforcement Batons, between Bashing Shield. Your utility is the only one that's probably going to be the safest. But then as soon as you go to equip the armor, well, if you're playing against an orange deck, they're going to bash and shield it. As soon as you equip the weapon, if they're playing reprocess or they're playing ramming speed or whatever, you know, opponents that are expected. Now, Overwhelming Advantage might be good from the beginning, and for the people that don't watch my videos, it might be good in the beginning because people aren't going to expect it. They're not going to realize it like how I'm thinking about it anyway. Who knows? I might still get got by it anyway. But I'm really sitting here thinking that an opponent that's prepared might potentially, I'm worried about a card like this, and I don't want to get got by it and be like, I lost a round to my guy getting 15 that he didn't even touch. I don't want to go into the Energon Invitational playing 3-wide Prime and they don't focus on my Prime at all match, and then all of a sudden they attack my Flame War, and then play Overwhelming Advantage and then deal with my Optimus, you know, right before it without even touching it. That's not going to be cool. So I say that, like I said, and expect this is what I'm going to talk about, my meta analysis of my guess of what I think the meta is going to be, and we'll see how that ends up turning out when it comes to Dallas, which is actually coming up in a couple of weeks. Definitely shout out to PPG with that, and yeah, but definitely looking forward to Overwhelming Advantage and testing it with Shockwave. I don't really want to test it with any other deck because I feel like no other deck can set it up as easy. You know, Decepticon Crowns are orange-green. It's a Decepticon card as well, so you can play it off the top. So many different avenues you can take with it, and in conjunction with that, you're also stealing your opponent's hand. So they're not going to have as strong of a hand to scrap your upgrades, and if they do, well, then you're still ahead because they don't really have a hand, and they were just like, well, I had to use this card to get rid of your upgrade so you don't 15 me. So I don't know, we'll see. Another couple cards I want to talk about, and I'm actually going to group these four together. I want to talk about Contract Contingency, Dual Wield, Opportune Offensive, and Opportune Repairs. Now, all these cards in conjunction are going to be in fruition of what I was talking about in terms of playing a heavy orange-black deck or a heavy blue-black deck, because whatever mercenary you're playing, like the Octone deck, like immediately, of course, I'm going to start with 3 Contract Contingency and 3 Dual Wield and see how those work out. Now, keep in mind, those are double blacks, so they're not going to help you on defense at all. So it's going to be like, how many do I really need to play? Like I said, I'm going to start with 3 and see what ends up happening, you know, see the feel out for that. I think I'm going to play Opportune Offensive. I think I'm going to like cut cards like I won't need to play the bigger they are anymore. I think the bigger they are is still a good card, but if you're playing an entire heavy orange-black deck, or excuse me, blue-black deck, well, the pierce that you're going to deal through your attacks or whatever, you can kind of save, and like I said, play Opportune Offensive either over the bigger they are, and then plus Opportune Offensive is a blue-black, which caters to, you know, your fueling your RR Disruptive Blades and things like that. So Dual Wield seems very good because not seems very good. Who am I kidding? Dual Wield is very good because of its ability to bring back a weapon for the scrap pile. We don't have any other cards that do that like this card does. I mean, we have Sound Blaster, the new bot from Wave 4, but yeah. Dual Wield seems insane, especially in a you know, an orange deck or whatever. You have an RR Disruptive Blade on your character, and then you bring back a grenade launcher, or you bring back a you can bring back Arm Hovercraft, you can bring back Enforcement Batons, you can bring back Drill Arms, you can bring back Sturdy Javelin, you can bring back so many different cards. The cards that see Energon Axe, you know, and of course Grenade Launcher is probably one of the, if not the most favorite one to bring back. But if you have like Grenade Launcher Dual Wield in hand and you have another Grenade Launcher in your scrap pile, that's pretty much like Reckless Charge Grenade Launcher for the turn, and then you don't take 3 on your character. But that card seems very strong. Contract Contingency I don't like with the smaller ones like Mudflap and Nightbird, but I do like the card a lot with your main big guy. So the turn that big guy attacks with, you know, Octone, you could potentially go attack their best guy and then deal 2 damage to another character and like kind of set up for future turns to kill that character or whatever. But Contract Contingency seems like a 2 of, because I mean at the end of the day it still is a +2. It is that's one card that I can see potentially cutting down to 2 though, because you really only want it with your bounty character. Now the only way I would like, I say this all in theory, but it's like I want to play 3 if I'm playing 2 mercenaries and then 1, you know, or whatever. I don't know. So definitely looking forward to that. Opportune Repair seems really cool because in those aggro matchups, a lot of times healing 3 won't be a lot, but then a lot of times it will. It might be a turn where you one-shot stand one of your characters and one, you know, hit one of their characters, and then your next turn you play Opportune Offensive to heal that 3 damage, or you're playing against a blue deck, Opportune Repairs, my apologies. Opportune Repairs gets even stronger versus blue matchups because they're not dealing as much damage, and then you go heal that 3 right up. Yeah, looking forward to all those cards, and like I said, in terms of playing, I'm looking forward to playing very heavy blue and black / orange and black decks. Another big secret action I want to talk about is Step Forward. Step Forward is another card that I immediately thought about putting in the old school 3-wide prime deck. I have a thing where, I'll probably touch on this again when I get to my meta analysis video of what decks I think are going to be good, but I have a thing of thinking it's like every time a new set comes out, I need to play new bots. Like I just got to play new bots. You know, the new bots are out, new cards are out. I have to, well, the new cards are probably more obvious, but you know, not necessarily switching of the bots is always the thing to go, you know, like, or the way to do it. I don't think there's any other good replacement for Flame Ward, who gets better since Press the Advantage is gone now, and Hot Rod to pair with Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, and then include this Step Forward card in there, because Step Forward, when they have their biggest character attack, like even in the mirror match, we just want to talk about the mirror match for a second. So now when you go second in the mirror, because you always want to go second, so you can get a bigger attack on their Optimus Prime first. Well, now the person that goes first has an advantage with Step Forward because they're going to be tapped out, and then the turn that they load their Optimus up to attack, you play Step Forward and then have your Hot Rod Step Forward and take that damage. And he has Tough too, so if he survives that attack as well, that means your Prime is just ready to your prime is ready to survive longer. So I really like that card, and very much forward looking to that card. Also playing that card in the Omega Supreme deck as well, giving him Brave, giving the base Brave to make your opponent also attack into that again as well, just seems very good. And if it blocks that attack well, then that's all the more reason why they have to keep going into it and making them mill out faster to bring out the big guy, the big Omega Supreme. Another battle card I want to talk about is Pocket Processor. Pocket Processor, of course, is the new data pad. Seems like to be the best or a better data pad because it has a green icon. That card seems like a easy one of. I'm always talking for Shockwave. Let's talk against Shockwave for a second. Having a Pocket Processor will be nice to side deck even as a one of, because when you finally see it and you get it equipped, Shockwave's not really worried about scrapping your utilities and things like that. I mean, I guess I want to play like cards like Reprocess and stuff like that, or I might play Vaporize more often. But playing a card like Pocket Processor at 1 or 2 in your side deck, if not in your main deck, will help naturally counter Shockwave as well. And what it'll do is just allows you to play cards. It allows you to have a card in hand to be able to do something. So if Shockwave gets to the point where he does a Trinity or he does a security checkpoint turn to take your entire hand, and then you're left top decking, well, if you have Pocket Processor, it helps you at least have 2 cards in hand at all times. And if I've learned anything, I've learned that all you need is 2 cards to win. All you need is like a chip in a chair, like they say in poker. And I say that because Shades of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm still so used to feeling, it's a feel-good feeling. It's a shot of dopamine for me to have 7 cards in my hand or 6 cards in my hand. That doesn't matter because all you can only do is play 2 of them. You can only play 2 every turn, an action and an upgrade. Unless you're playing Springer, which kind of makes me think that Springer is like one of the decks I really want to play because it lets me do more than just play an action and upgrade, just like, like the Fire Bee deck did. So it seems like a good tech card to tech and, like I said, at least counter and be able to play an action upgrade or to do something every turn or to trade for another green or whatever. If the Shockwave deck kind of gets off of focusing on not taking your hand, he's in the wrong mode. Like he's in alt mode. So now that means next turn you can keep this 1 card in your hand since Shockwave's in alt mode. And unless they have UFO, they're not going to be able to strip this card out of their hand, which lets you trade that card for greens. There's just so many different avenues that I'm thinking about that is making my head hurt actually. And it's just definitely things to think about going into the Energon Invitational. There's so many different interactions that are going to be happening, and ones I'm not even talking about, ones I haven't seen yet, that I'm definitely looking to put in fruition and come to life. And one of the last 2 cards I want to talk about is Kinetic Intensifier Whip, or Kinetic Intensifier Whip. That card seems very good for orange-black decks, or just for heavy orange decks in general, to flip, and especially for Metroplex. I think one of the main ones that most, I'm pretty sure, have thought up to want to play with that card. Flipping to in mode and then auto getting bold 1 bold 2 on a character. Like if you play rollout on Metroplex and then flipping back to alt mode, or to the alt mode, deploy a character and then flipping back to bot mode, well, he gets that stacked. So he gets bold 4 now, bold 4 just within that. And that's pretty much like playing a height advantage for the turn. You can look at it that way, because height advantage gives bold 4 right out the gate. So even if you have height advantage on its own and then you flip Metroplex, now he has bold 6, and then plus what any other his little minions give bold as well, he's definitely gonna hopefully trigger that effect. And one of the most important things about it is not only does it give the +1 attack, but it's also a white icon, so you can play better white icon cards. As sets have been coming along, we knew we were gonna get more better white cards as we the game evolved, but it's definitely one of the better white cards to play with Metroplex. And then I'm also thinking about playing it in the B deck. I'm thinking about playing it with Wheeljack, because giving Wheeljack an extra bolt, like Wheeljack needed any more bolt, but making him 6 bolt 5, just can be insane. Whatever he's doing, he's definitely going to KO somebody. So definitely looking forward to that card, and it's definitely one of the stronger cards of the set. And then last but not least, I want to talk about Energy Transfer. No. Why? Bugs are gonna love that card. Nah, shout out to the Bugs. It's all good. But yeah, Ransack. I don't even want to say the Bugs are gonna love that card. I think Ransack's gonna love that card. Even decks like I'm thinking about putting it in with General Optimus. Like your General Optimus takes a hit and you move all that damage, sludge all that damage over to your Battle Master or whatever, so it just about dies. And then now your Optimus is fully healed, and you can transfer any amount of damage. Not just like that card. I think this is one of the actual best cards of the set. Being able to transfer any amount of damage is going to be so important in orange matchups. To be able to move 7 damage off your big guy onto another character, and that character still lives at 1 or whatever, is a big deal. That's a huge heal. Very much so. Looking forward to playing that card. Damn Bugs. Looking forward to Energy Transfer as well. I think that's one of the better cards of the set. And I mean, a lot of these cards are good. I definitely missed a couple, like showing off like special orders or new orders. It's pretty much an untap that I plan on playing 3 of in my Battle Patrol deck. So many different cards, so many different decks. Talk about deck profiles, man. I got profiles on profiles on profiles. I got so many deck lists written up in my phone that I wanted to put in fruition and talk to you guys about and present to you, get some gameplay. and all that good stuff. So you know, and then packs Unplugged is coming up. Definitely want to definitely just use this box. Little box right here. Still haven't opened it yet because I want to use this box for sealed. This is what I got from the PPG event. I want to use this box for sealed play. So try to get some games in with my girlfriend, get her back into the game. You know, want to definitely even with Waz and those guys, you know, I'll dig from this box and use those cards plus, you know, 3 packs from Siege 2 and put together some decks. And I can reevaluate my opinion on seal play. Now I will say in the beginning I chalked it up to I'm gonna play against somebody that got lucky and pulled Galaxy Prime and I didn't pull as well, and they beat me down with Galaxy Prime. I honestly chalked it up to that at first because I've never done this before, but after talking to Dan from Vector Sigma and a couple of other people, it's not gonna be that bad. And I think the biggest thing is after seeing the entire set, Springer is a common. Springer is a common. Springer is a common. Yeah, Springer is a common. What? So if I pull Springer, I'm probably happier than pulling Sound Blaster or whatever. So it's not about catering the power level of a good card to being a super rare. It's not that simple. So bringing this and all of them to 4, and I knew WTC knew what they were doing. I never doubted them, but I doubted it for myself because I'm like, I just chalked it up to being unlucky. But if you pay attention to the set and you know what cards are going to be good, and you you know, practice deck building and stuff, we have a month. So a month doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're prepared and if you want to be prepared and you want to try your best to create a character card, I'm talking about getting that first place. Definitely come with your A game, because I know I am. You face me is going down. Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely looking forward to sealed now. You know, like I said, after seeing the entire set, and yeah. So that's gonna be it for this video. Wasn't too long. You know, I kind of added some cards to it as I kept seeing some other cards. I didn't want to again make it a top video because I had a whole bunch of cards I want to talk about. I also want to make a meta analysis video. If I don't get it this week, because I also want to do the case opening, I'll do it at the beginning of next week and talk about the decks that I just think. This is without putting any decks together or play testing any decks. This is just a guess of what I think the meta is going to look like and what it's going to turn into, and what some things are going to look like to me, and go from there. You guys know what it is. This is S. of Death TF heading out. You guys have a great day and or a great night whenever you're catching this video. Peace.